Now for using a mechanical pencils or 3B pencils, I'm starting the last part of this tutorial, and this part will be a little bit more differentiated, or you can say that different as compared to first two parts. And if you haven't seen part 1 and 2, then link will be on description box. And if you are directly watching this third part and making this Emilia Clarke, I have just my biggest salute to all. So let's start with this tutorial of third part. And the main thing for differentiated, or I can say that different from first two part in this third part, is that I'm using a base layer directly and first layer directly and making those patches of dark shaded parts. What I mean about drawing directly is that I've just used a direct in base layer. As always, we use a base layer as a 2B pencil, blend it with a makeup brush, and then use a second layer, first layer, and different type of techniques. But in this method, I have directly used base layer and first layer directly. What I mean about directly is that I have directly used a 4B pencil and directly make on base layer, which will be of 2B pencils, and blended it with a makeup brush. You can also use a blending stumps for blending those smaller parts, but I will not recommend you to use a blending stump for in skin textures, because if you will use a blending stump for making a skin texture, it will look a little bit weird as compared to mechanical or other blending stumps. Because if you will use a blending stump and you are not used to with the blending stumps, then you will live, or you will of course live smaller parts which are more dark as compared to any other parts. Those are the parts which we will not want on your picture, or which will not be blended or erased easily. So I will recommend you to use earbuds or makeup brushes for blending those skin textures. But if you are an artist that you have made more portraits and you are used to with blending stumps, you can use. But if you are intermediate or beginner, I will not recommend you to use a blending stump on a skin texture, or if you are making a skin texture. Now, as you can see from reference picture, that she is wearing a red type of clothes, but those clothes are a little bit more transparent as compared to any other clothes that anyone wears. But those smaller transparent parts, the main purpose of making those smaller transparent plants is that if you are going for a first layer, I will recommend you to use, or you can make a clothes or your color pencil first, then I will recommend you to use a small particles, or the small particles. What I mean about using a small particles is that you can use a graphite parts from makeup brush and just blend it, those smaller parts, those skin texture parts that are visible from clothes. If you are going for details for clothes, or if someone is wearing just a simple shirt or any other clothes, it will be a little bit more easy. But if you will make a whole sketch, or half sketch will be of 3:4, you have to give a clothes a more and more details if you want to make it a realistic sketch. So you have to keep on focusing the design where it is ending, the small parts which are visible. So zoom it out as much as possible and give more and more details to the clothes that your portrait or reference picture is wearing. So for giving colors, there are mainly 2 to 3 colors, which are blue or violet or red and a yellow. The main purpose of using red with a pencil color is that in pencil color of right side on our clothes, there are more details as compared to bluish part. So using pencil, you can also give more and more details if you will sharp your color pencil. But if you will use a blue color with a pencil, I will not recommend you to use blue color with a pencil also. You can give more and more shade if you will use a color pencil for making clothes. But if you will use a sketch pen, you cannot give any other shades, because if you will use sketch pen on a paper, the main thing that if you will make a second layer on sketch pen, your paper will be teared. There are so much of artists, or there are much artists which are too used to with the pencil sketches or color pencil sketches, and sketch pen artist also, they will do a great sketch or a portrait sketch more realistic as compared to pencil sketches, but they are used to with those pencil sketches. But most of artists are not used to with that, and I am one of them also. I can use a graphite and charcoal pencil easily and I can make a realistic sketch, but I am not used to with a color pencil so much. So I am just using a smaller parts with color pencils and then use a sketch pen for making those smaller parts which are a bluish part. Those are not important parts on our clothes as compared to any other parts. So using a color pencil of a red, I am just giving more and more dark shades. And the main purpose of giving dark and light shade on her clothes is that the clothes she is wearing is transparent, as I have said before. So if you want to give a realistic look of clothes and the clothes are a little bit more transparent and the skin is coming out, or you can say that you can see small skin textures from those clothes. If you want to give those small structures from a cloth, you should use a color pencils, and I will highly recommend you to use color pencils and give shades from those color pencils. Now as you can focus that I have made smaller flowers with a sharpened color pencil, and making those smaller flowers and details first, I will recommend you to make small parts first and then go for bigger parts. And the main thing about saying those bigger parts is that shade your color pencil afterwards. First make a base layer, as I always told you in every parts, make a base layer, or you can also hatch it with the color pencils and then go for more and more darker parts. Now as you can see that right hand side of his portion is more dark or the more bluish as compared to reddish part, because the main purpose of using a sketch pen or color pencil, as I have told you before, that it is more pointed as compared to any other parts. The main difference that I will told you of using a pencil color and a color pencil and mixing those both is that after using those both parts, you will not get a final result, but if you use a color pencil, you can blend it afterwards and the blended part will look too good. So that was all for this part, and if you have learned something from this video, just subscribe and drop a like and comment down your question and queries regarding this tutorial. Meanwhile, take care of your loved ones too. Have an artistic day. That too. Subscribe now by clicking here, or the lid of your pencil will break every time you draw. And click here if you want to learn more about portrait drawings.